So we did a poll. I'll tell you the results of the poll. I actually polled everybody on our Twitter account, which is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1.
Okay.
And I basically asked the question in a real plain way. I said, should a man date if he's struggling with finances? And the three answers people could provide were either yes, of course he should, no, get your money right, or I'm not sure. And the majority, which one do you think won? Which answer do you think got the highest percentage of responses?
As to whether or not a man should be dating?
Mm-hmm. Yes or no? Which one do you think that the audience picked? You guys let us know what you think. Like, give us your take on it as well. What do you think? What do you think the results of the poll were?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 53%. 53% said no. Yeah, 34% said yes.
Okay.
13% said I'm not sure. And I left that out as like an easy out for people who didn't want to be pushed for an answer. But I was tempted to just press people for an answer, like either yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. So what do you guys think? I see Yolanda says no. Teddy says yes, he should. Anatolia says yes. I would like to understand like how this might run along gender lines. Like, what do you think? Do you think that women are more likely to say no, or do you think men are more likely to say no? What do you think?
Wow, that's an excellent question. I'm going to say it's probably going to be pretty close. I'm thinking half and half. I'm going to think it's pretty close. And the reason I say that is if a sister was like I was, and still am in some ways, but where it's not just about, it's never been for me, just about the money. You understand what I'm saying? It's never been just about the money. But because I maintained that type of attitude, I was also taken advantage of. You understand? And I was also consistently the primary and the main breadwinner, on every turn. So the fact, and so I had to learn not to lower my expectation and my standard, because if I had to come to the table, you understand what I'm saying, with something, why wouldn't I expect a man to be able to do the same thing? And again, I'm considering a spiritual aspect of this, the way God created us to be, how he determined us to function, because I think we need some help. When I look at the condition, especially of Black people in particular around us, we need some assistance in how we are to operate. We need some standard operating procedures. You feel what I'm saying? We need a protocol. We need a standard, and nobody can run around here bragging, acting like we got it together. And I'm saying that by us being in this racist, white, beastly society that has caused so much murder, so much rape, so much theft, so much fraud, we have unfortunately been victims of it. But also we're seeing that some of our people are even taking on some of the characteristics and traits of our oppressors, which are some of the bad and negative traits. And as I said before, we have been denatured, and we need to come back to the way things are meant to be. And I believe that when a man is operating on purpose and in his purpose, Dr. Boyce, I believe that when he figures out what his gifts and his skill sets are, I believe that he's going to find wealth in that place. I believe that the universe is going to, as it's been said, conspire to bless him. I believe that when you're operating and you figure out what God has put in you, stuff around you will begin to manifest. And I think that it has to happen with the man. He's got to figure that part out. And then when the woman comes along, she will truly be able to have something to help you out with, to be a help meet concerning. So I think that's so important. I know I'm kind of a little off on your question, but I'm certainly curious about your thoughts on that.
No, I think that you, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, I'm a big believer that attitude is everything. Like I have found that, people who work harder and have good values and have a plan, they just tend to get luckier than everybody else, right? I mean, and so I agree with that 100%. I think the universe does conspire to get you to your goal if your mind is right and your plan is right and everything else, so that on that I agree 100%. Now I think that what I did notice, David Thomas actually in the comments, he hit the nail right on the head. He asked a key question that I would ask, which is, what do you mean by struggling with finances? Like, what do you mean by that? And so here's what here's why that's an important question. Struggling with finances could either mean that you have a temporary struggle because of where you are in life. You're a young man, you know, you're hustling, but you haven't got there yet, right? But you're making good decisions, versus somebody who's persistently struggling. I mean, anybody know anybody like that? Like somebody who's always broke, always has a financial disaster, always has an issue, always like in the struggle all the time.
Sure.
Those are different types of people, right? And that's why I think I've noticed that it is as important to look at where someone is going as it is to look at where they are. You know, and where they're going. In fact, it's more important to look at where they're going, because where you're going is going to really determine where you end up. You know, like a car, if a car is going 60 miles an hour and is headed east, it doesn't matter where it is right now, because in an hour it's going to be somewhere different. It's going to be 60 miles down the road, right? But if a car is sitting still or going backwards or going in circles, you know, like that's a whole different situation, right? So, so ultimately, I think that the idea of struggling with finances, when I processed that in my own life as a man, and what I felt like my role was as a man, I consider a couple of dimensions. One, I remember, you know, back in the day when I was struggling with finances, meaning I look in my pockets and wasn't nothing there. You know, I want to go out, you know, I can't even go out and buy a cheeseburger, you know, and I remember dating as a person that did not have a lot of money and who was struggling with finances. And I remember dating being something that was just hard to do. You know, you always, you know, as a young man, I was always attracted to women. That never stopped. You know, me being attracted to the opposite sex and wanting to engage with a woman or whatever it was. But my desire to go into a deepened relationship was deeply affected by my financial situation. And it really came down to the expectations that I felt that they were either put on me by society or my family or my upbringing or whatever. But my expectation had always been that as the head of the household, you have a responsibility to make sure everybody is eating inside their house. You know, you may not have to do the job by yourself, but if the kids are hungry or the lights are cut out, that's going to be daddy's fault. You know, like you know, like if the food's in the refrigerator and it ain't been cooked, then that's mama's fault. People gonna look at mama like you know what I mean? But if there's no food to be cooked, people look at daddy, right? So I think that for myself, the pressure for me as a black man came from the fact that I remember thinking, gosh, I don't even know if I can take care of me and get what I need. When I was 28, I had nowhere to live. I was technically homeless. I had somewhere to go, but I didn't have a place to live. It was not, I could not afford a place on my own. And I remember just thinking, I can't imagine going through all of this with a wife and a child. You know, that would devastate me. That would make me feel very bad. It would stress me out, you know, drive me crazy. It would probably even be difficult to have a healthy relationship with that kind of pressure, you know. But once I was no longer struggling with finances, meaning that I had some income coming in, that's when you begin to think, okay, well, I can take care of me pretty good. Now let me just spread the blessing to other people. You know, let me consider another situation.